Story 1. I begged my ex-husband to take me back, but he said he couldn't because I broke him. I'm writing this because my therapist suggested I just let it out, and strangely enough, the internet seemed like a good place for it. So here it is. I'm 42 years old, and 3 years ago, I cheated on my husband, who is also 42. It destroyed our family, and I regret it every day. We started dating when we were 19. We weren't each other's first loves, but for 22 years, I thought we were happy. Of course, there were times when he lost his temper, but he was always an open person. He could hold his feelings for a long time, but when he exploded, he said everything that was on his mind. I understood him. I did the same thing. I could say something harsh in anger, but he never held a grudge. In our intimate life, everything was fine. Of course, he wanted it more often. He initiated it every day, but I was a mom who stayed at home with 5 kids, 3 girls and 2 boys, and I was very tired. He voiced his dissatisfaction when we didn't have intimacy, which irritated me. Looking back, I realize we could have done it more often. Despite everything, he always helped around the house, working 60 hours a week, but he made sure I slept in on weekends and woke up to a clean house and a prepared breakfast. Years went by, and the 3 older kids started going to college, and I felt an emptiness. I got bored. I was going crazy from idleness. The 2 younger sons still lived with us, but they were already in middle school and didn't need me much anymore. My husband noticed and suggested I get a job. Looking back, I realize I should have refused. I should have found a hobby or done something differently. My husband was slightly overweight, but still attractive. My weight constantly fluctuated between 68 and 95 kilograms, depending on the year. When I went back to work as a customer support representative, I weighed 72 kilograms and felt great. I hadn't worked in 21 years, and it was nice to return to a team. A few months later, I started spending time with younger colleagues who were around 25. My husband supported this because I didn't have any close friends. I had even pushed him to interact more with his colleagues, so I thought it would be fair if I did the same. These young women started planting strange ideas in my head. They said I could find someone better, that my husband wasn't that sexy, that he was holding me back. One of my male colleagues even said that my husband was a beta pretending to be an alpha. I believed it. At that moment, it seemed to me that my husband just talked a lot but did nothing. Yes, I saw him argue with people who spoke poorly of him, and he easily stood up for himself, but I never saw him get into a fight. I don't know where these thoughts came from. I loved him. I respected him, and in return, he respected me. All our friends told me how lucky I was to have him, and I really felt lucky. But somehow, these people got in my head, and I started doubting my love for him. Every time I talked to my colleagues, they pushed me further towards cheating. Eventually, I started flirting with that same colleague who called my husband a beta. He was the same age as me, good-looking, and fit. A few weeks later, one thing led to another. He made the first move, and I just gave in. We had intimate relations whenever we could. I felt young and desired, and at the same time, I treated my husband terribly. I rejected his attempts for closeness, mocked his weight, even tried to convince him he was crazy when he started to suspect something was wrong. I didn't understand what was happening to me. Now, looking back, I don't know why I behaved that way. I don't recognize the woman I became. I realized how bad things were when my husband, during dinner, crushed a glass in his hand while looking at me with hatred. "You have a hickey," he spat, clutching his palm, then went to the hospital. My son stared at me in shock. The older one's eyes filled with red, and he ran out of the room. I called my lover and yelled at him, but he just replied that he wanted to mark his territory. I felt disgusted for the first time, and that's when I truly regretted what I had done. Late at night, my husband returned home. He looked me in the eyes and asked, "How long has this been going on?" I wanted to lie, to deny everything, but when I saw the look on his face, I answered honestly, 4 months. "You sucked his dick?" he asked. I remained silent. He walked around me, stopped near my ear, and whispered, "I want a divorce, you bitch." I got angry. He'd never spoken to me like that before. All I could do was cry, especially when I noticed the kids standing at the bottom of the stairs, staring at me with rage. I yelled at my husband for saying this in front of the kids. I should have been angry with myself, disgusted by myself, but I had some kind of blinders on. My husband emotionally detached from me immediately, as if a switch had been flipped. And at that moment, his love for me vanished. My female colleagues supported me. They convinced me I was making the right choice, that now I'd be able to spend more time with lovers. I believed them. I didn't want to prolong our separation. My husband moved out and rented an apartment just a kilometer away. My sons began treating me like trash, and my daughters just stopped talking to me. My lover started coming over to my house despite my protests. He just came, and it drove the kids crazy, but he didn't leave. One day, when my ex-husband came to pick up the boys and my lover was there, my ex, who was physically more developed than my former husband, just smiled and said, "Not now," with a smile on his face, "Not now, but soon." After he left, I was furious. I told my lover that his behavior was unacceptable, but he ignored me. When I didn't calm down, he yelled at me. It scared me. Over time, my lover started dictating what I should eat, telling me awful things when no one could hear, and I allowed this to happen. When our divorce was finalized, we agreed to divide the property 50-50ths. I paid my husband his share for the house. Officially, we had joint custody, but the boys refused to live with me and moved in with their father. I hadn't seen my older daughters in a long time. They don't pick up the phone or answer my calls. I found out one of them was in a serious relationship only when my husband mentioned it casually. But the most painful moment came when I saw him take off his wedding ring and place it on the papers. I could hardly breathe. I looked at the ring, picked up the pen, and just froze. At that moment, I realized how much I had ruined everything. I destroyed my marriage. I destroyed my relationship with my children, and now, perhaps, I'm in an abusive relationship. I broke down in tears. I couldn't breathe. I was so overwhelmed, but in the end, I signed the papers. A week after the divorce, my lover hit me for the first time. I was telling him about my day, accidentally knocked over the nightstand, and his phone fell on the floor. He looked at me, slapped me, and called me clumsy. I called my ex-husband. The first thing he asked was, "Is he touching our kids?" I said no, and he just hung up the phone. That night, I cried. Soon, my lover stopped holding back. He started raising his hand at me more often, and this went on for 2 months. At that time, I thought I deserved it. My ex had never hit me, but my lover did. I took it as karma. It all ended when he hit my daughter, who had come home from college due to quarantine. She was the only one of my children still living with me. The other 2 older daughters lived with their father. One call from her, and my ex came over. He offered my lover to take the first hit, and then he beat him half to death. Throughout it all, his face remained emotionless. I begged him to stop. He looked at our daughter's face and asked which hand he hit her with, then broke his right arm by stepping on it. When it was over, my ex grabbed my lover by the scruff of the neck and dragged him out of the house. He didn't look at me once, didn't acknowledge my presence. He took him to the hospital and told the doctors he fell down the stairs. My ex stayed with my lover. I don't know what they talked about, but the next day, my lover quit his job and disappeared from my life. I continued working, and my ex started sleeping with my single friends, even one of my colleagues. One of them was the very girl who had encouraged me to cheat. I found out later when I overheard her complaining to colleagues that he tore up her back and then stopped answering her calls. It hurt me. I think he did it on purpose. I tried dating other men, but nothing worked out. I'm a single mother with 5 children, and that scares people off. Looking back, I realized that even my lover couldn't satisfy me like my ex did, and then I asked myself, why did I let this happen? I was happy. How did I allow myself to be manipulated like that? I don't understand. During that time, there was silence in the house. My sons either locked themselves in their rooms or stayed with their father. My daughters, except for one, avoided me. It hurt me. My ex saw what was going on and arranged a family meeting. All the kids gathered at the house. I was happy to see them together, but they didn't want to be there. He started telling them that they should talk to me. That's when my youngest son called me a slut. It was like a punch to the chest. I looked at him, unable to believe it. My ex shouted at him right in front of me. "Have I ever called your mother that?" he yelled. My son silently shook his head. "Your mother takes care of you. She loves you. You will respect her. What happened between us has nothing to do with you." He looked at all the kids, and that meant more than any words. "You will all start respecting your mother. Is that clear?" After that, my relationship with the kids slowly started improving. On the 2nd anniversary of our divorce, we acted fairly civilly with each other. We laughed, talked. He often came over to my house to fix something or discuss the kids. For a while, it seemed like my husband was back. One day, I reached out to him, but he pushed me away and silently left. A month later, he started dating our youngest child's teacher. She was 10 years younger than him, had many common interests, and was incredibly beautiful. I tried to stay polite while they were dating, but seeing how he looked at her, how he touched her, how he laughed with her, she became the center of his attention. That's when I realized why people envied us. Why everyone said I was lucky to have him. It was loyalty. Why hadn't I noticed it before? I had a nervous breakdown when I found out they were expecting a child and planning to get married. I woke up, and he was sitting next to me, brushing hair off my face. I just broke down in tears and begged him to forgive me for destroying our family. He didn't say anything, just held me, letting me speak. He came to see me every day, only leaving to meet his fiancée. She even came to check on me to make sure I was okay. I don't deserve their sympathy. Her kindness, she even found me a therapist and paid for my treatment. My therapist was blunt. She told me I had a midlife crisis, and instead of talking to my husband, I allowed young women to manipulate me. She explained that they wanted to destroy my marriage because they were lonely and probably wouldn't ever get married, and they saw me as an easy target. Misery loves company, and the fact that the main one of them ended up sleeping with my ex-husband only confirmed her words. After a few months of therapy, seeing that I still couldn't deal with the situation, she suggested I write a post online, create an anonymous account, and vent my pain. It was a form of therapy, a unique alternative to group sessions. My ex-husband's new wife is a wonderful person. She often comes over to check if everything's alright with me, talks to me, and as much as I want to hate her, I can't. She's too kind, and their twins are just a miracle. My ex-husband sometimes comes over too to make sure I'm eating, that I'm okay. He says that, despite everything, I'll always be the mother of his children, and he'll always be there for me as a friend. Last Saturday, he came over, let me sleep, cleaned the house, and made breakfast. And I cried again. I miss him so much, and I miss my husband. I still miss my best friend. I don't understand how I let myself be manipulated like this. I feel so lonely now. The kids are around, but we're not as close as we used to be. They're here, but the one person I want the most isn't. He has a new life, and it's my fault. Someday, I will move on too, but right now, I deserve this. I deserve everything that's happening to me. I want to clarify something. I wanted to talk about what my ex-husband went through, but I feel like it's not my story to tell. I've tried countless times to make amends, but he didn't want anything to do with me. Everything got worse because my lover didn't leave me alone. No matter how much I tried, he just wouldn't go. I felt trapped during our affair. It was like a strange numbness, hard to explain, as if I was watching myself from the outside. The day everything came out, I was about to end the affair once and for all, but he left a hickey on me. I remember begging my husband for one more chance, a few days after he found out about the affair. He just looked at me and walked away. He spoke to me only 3 times after that, when we tried to be civil about signing the divorce papers, when I called him after my lover hit me, and the next day after he almost killed my former lover. That day, he told me everything. As I've mentioned before, he has a habit of bottling up his anger and then exploding. He yelled at me, talking about how foolish my decisions were, how I ruined him, how unlucky he was to mourn our marriage because he had to be strong for the kids, while I just cried because I realized I had broken this man, this strong man, who, if I had asked, would have found a way to freeze hell for me. I apologized, but he didn't want to hear my apologies. He said my former lover would never bother me again and left. A year went by before he started talking to me normally. Before that, he didn't want to see me. When he began sleeping with women I knew, I didn't say anything. I understood why he was doing it and thought he deserved this right after that family meeting when he demanded the kids talk to me again. He started behaving civilly with me for their sake. That was when I truly realized what I had lost. After that, my kids slowly began to come back to me. My youngest son held out the longest, but I tried. God, how I tried to fix our relationships. The kids became my top priority. When they saw that I was making an effort, they started to gradually open up to me, but it wasn't the same as before. On the 2nd year after the divorce, I saw my kids laughing in our house again, and my ex-husband joking and cooking with them on the grill, dancing with the girls. I thought if I put in even more effort, if I showed him how much I regretted everything, I could win him back. I did everything I could, suggested family therapy, wore clothes he once bought me, his favorite perfume, styled my hair the way he liked it. But he just ignored me. That's why I tried to kiss him that day. It seemed to me that there was still some connection between us. But he stopped me. I cried and begged, but he just silently looked at me. He said that he couldn't be with me because I broke him. He would never kiss me again because my lips touched another man. He would never hug me again because I let another man touch me. He would never sleep in the same bed with me again because I slept with someone else. I tried to argue that he was also with other women after the divorce, but he cut me off sharply. That happened after the divorce, he said. You betrayed me when we were married. My body and heart belonged to you just as yours belonged to me, and you destroyed that. I tried to maintain a friendship with him, but it's hard. I had been married to this man for over 20 years, and I destroyed our marriage in 6 months. Why? Because of a midlife crisis? Because of a desperate desire to have friends? Because of the urge to feel young among the young? Looking back, I don't recognize the woman I became. Everything I did wasn't like me. My 3rd daughter understood everything. She kept me grounded, helped me, and I didn't even know she was home that day. Usually, my former lover raised his hand at me when the kids were away or in the car when no one could see. I was always afraid when they left, but I allowed him to treat me like that because I thought I deserved it. That evening, for the first time in a long time, I decided to stand up to him. I told him to leave. He didn't like that at all. When he slapped me and pushed me against the wall, my daughter suddenly appeared and jumped on his back. He shoved her off and hit her. I was furious. I hit him and ran with my daughter to the garage. He started banging on the door. My daughter called her father. When my ex-husband arrived, he simply tore the garage door off. I barely managed to stop him, otherwise, he would have killed him. His new wife is truly a blessing for him. She gave him the chance to love and be himself again. I didn't want to be part of his new life, but that was her initiative. She had also been through abusive relationships before meeting my ex-husband. She didn't want hostility but made it clear that if I crossed the line, she knew how to stand up for herself. My kids adore her. She used to be their English teacher. I have moments when guilt completely paralyzes me. Yes, I'm still working at the same company and eventually became a manager. I fired those women, I knew all their dirty secrets, so it wasn't difficult. I just miss my past life. That's it. Before we move on to the next story, make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments about this one. What struck me most in this story is that those colleagues of the author at work said her husband was a beta, and this guy seemed like an alpha, at least, that's how he described himself. And so what? Yes, he's an alpha, not only with men but also in relationships with women. An alpha who allows himself to hit a woman. But when face to face with the author's ex-husband, it turned out he was no alpha at all. And it's good that the story ended the way it did. Frankly, the ex-husband got exactly what he deserved. Story 2. It destroyed me, so I destroyed her whole life. It all started about 10 years ago. I was happily engaged to a girl I had known for about 9 years, but we had only been dating for about a year. Let's call her Nancy. Everything was perfect. She had the dream ring, we had a nice house, both of us had stable jobs, and the wedding preparations were going great. About 2 months before the wedding, we found out we were expecting a child. I had never felt such happiness before. The preparations were going smoothly, and there were only 28 days left until the big day. One fine day, I come back from work and find that Nancy isn't home. I call her to ask if she stayed late at work and when she'll be back, but Nancy wasn't at work. She had gone to her grandmother's house in another state. Nancy calmly told me she didn't want to marry me anymore and wouldn't be coming home. Complete and utter shock. What the hell was that? I try calling her, but her phone is turned off. I call her grandmother, and no one answers. What about the wedding? What about the baby? What's going to happen now? No answers. 3 days of complete silence. 3 days when I couldn't breathe, not knowing what happened. On the 4th day, Nancy showed up and started packing her things. She didn't say a word to me. Nothing. She leaves and sends me an email saying she can't be with me anymore, no explanations. I call her sister, asking what's going on. She says she has no idea but gives me their mother's number. Strange, because Nancy had told me her mother had long since disappeared from her life due to substance abuse and was abusive. Still, I call her mother. She says I'm lucky to be the third person to fall for Nancy's game. Nancy had cut her mother out of her life to prevent her from interfering with her scheme of draining men for money and resources. Nancy was pregnant twice before, and both times she had miscarriages. She drained everything she could from her boyfriends, then ran to her super Christian grandmother, claiming abuse, so her grandmother would take her in while everything calmed down and she could repeat the same scheme again. Weeks passed, and still, no word from Nancy. I lost 9 kilograms, and I got a warning at work for low productivity. My family was extremely angry because the relatives lost money on wedding trips, and I was ashamed to death. I lost all my wedding deposits because the cancellation happened less than 30 days before the wedding. I was just bankrupt. I checked our joint bank account, minus $2,000. Great. Now I couldn't pay the mortgage. I slowly started to recover, and my sadness turned into rage. I was so angry that I had to tone it down, or I would definitely end up in jail. A month and a half after our breakup, I received a message from Nancy. I had a miscarriage because of you. I had too much stress, and now my daughter is dead. I should have had a daughter. You're to blame for this. Enough. I'll take care of this bitch. I'm going to tear her apart. A few days of drunkenness helped me overcome the sadness and rekindle the rage. Let's go. Most of Nancy's stuff was still at my house. I had to give up the house because I couldn't afford it. I started packing her things to get rid of them but accidentally found something interesting, her resume and a checkbook for her personal bank account. I read her resume, and it was all lies, just like everything else. I sat down at the computer, created new email accounts, and sent a long letter to her corporate office, outlining all of her lies, point by point. It was incredible. The checkbook operation was even better. I signed her name on each check and tore them all out of the book. I drove for half an hour to the worst part of the city and threw them on the sidewalk near a gas station. I returned home and threw away all her junk. But I kept the laptop for myself. 2 weeks passed, and Nancy called. I didn't answer. In her voicemail, she said she'd been fired. I knew that was a lie, and that she had actually been fired, and it felt so damn good. Another 2 weeks went by, and I started getting letters from the district attorney's office regarding a restitution program for fake checks. Oh, and also an extension for her car registration. I threw it all out. While I was at it, I also changed her address to the temporary homeless shelter. Great! Through a mutual friend, I found out that since Nancy was now unemployed, she was living with friends and financially dependent on her super Christian grandmother. I went into her laptop, created a new Yahoo email address, differing from her real one by only 1 digit. I sent the grandmother a video I had saved, showing Nancy pleasuring herself. I titled the email, "Hey Grandma, check out the video that got me fired." The response came quickly, "You're disgusting. I hope your new job pays well because I won't be supporting you if you keep acting like this." That's when the two effects hit, guilt and financial problems. Weeks passed, and I got a call from Rent-A-Center. They wanted their furniture back. I had no idea she had rented it with a buyout option. I told them I didn't have the furniture. They argued, saying she claimed it was with me. I insisted I didn't have it and had no idea where it was. That evening, I burned all the furniture in the yard. $4,200 worth of stuff. Goodbye. I found out that Nancy had gotten a new job, and while I was planning my next move, I heard some amazing news. Nancy was arrested and sent to jail. It turned out she had financial problems and had stolen $5,000 from the cash register, which is what got her caught. Oh God, this is fantastic. She set herself up. Months passed without news, and then a friend told me that her grandmother bailed her out. A few days later, she agreed to a plea deal with the prosecution, receiving a 3-year probation sentence and a commitment to repay the stolen money. It was all destroyed. I'm satisfied, and I decide to stop here. My revenge is complete. Time to move on. A few months later, my phone rings. It's a company handling repossessions. They're looking for Nancy to take her car. Ha ha. Well, this is the final nail in the coffin. I make a few calls, find her address, and hand it over to the company. They thank me and offer a $100 reward if they find the car. I tell them, no need. It's a gift from me. Now, Nancy is a criminal, unemployed, and a single mother with a child from some random guy. She lives in an apartment with her brother and his girlfriend. And I'm happily married, with a wonderful daughter and a great life. Yesterday, I got a message from Nancy, "Congratulations on your marriage and daughter. I'm happy you're happy." I replied, "Go fuck yourself." She blocked me. Life is good. Sometimes, walking down the path of revenge is the best way to heal the soul.